Okay, let it get. So if you notice, this is the response I received based on the latitude, longitude, what I supplied. So since it is running from my device, so it got exact current location. So my coordinates are 12.94 something and 80.23 something, it's there. And Google gave me a response with various formatted address. The first one, Elim Street, VGP Avenue, Okiam, Thrompakam. This is something it is bringing out, and couple of other addresses also coming in. So that's the same thing gets repeated. And nearest to Anand Nagar. So it tried to find from the supplied latitude, longitude. It brought a result, and depending on the accuracy, you'll have number of additional information also coming in. So I don't want to parse everything. What I wanted to display is the very first result, which is something the formatted address which is coming in. I do not have any other way to copy or test it on the notepad because I need to copy it here. Instead, I'll see there is an object called results. Results is of type array. Inside array, various objects exist. In that one of an array, in that array index 0, I'm looking for one of an object called formatted address. So this is what I wanted to print. So let me see. Here I'm going to receive the result. JSON object to start with. From the string, I build a JSON object. Okay. JSON object, I need to get a JSON array, results array. So from the JSON object, get JSON array called results, because it came as a results. So this is square box, so it's an array. Okay, now I have an array. Okay, I need a address of type string from JSON array. Sorry, called result JSON array. I'm interested for only one, the very first item, so I'm going to give a get JSON object of 0, get string. So that is one coming as formatted address. So now I have address, so I can copy paste the other codes. So the address will be printed on the notification bar. I hope this simulator is also ready now, but anyway, I'll first run on my device. So it's already printed on the notification bar. Let me try one more time. First time came. Okay, anyway, so let me also try on the emulator. So it's also printing. Now I'll test on the emulator. Emulator will send the hard coded value. This is actually Google headquarters latitude longitude. So it should type the Google official headquarters address. So let me remove my phone. Now I am connected to emulator alone. Now I'm pushing the location. So the Parkway Mountain View, CA, California, it's a Google headquarters. So that address it is actually printed. So thus Google is giving a JSON response for whatever URL we are forming using the latitude longitude. In this case, this is how we form the address. Only requirement is to enter the right API key. The previous one I entered wrong. I'm also trying to. I also explained to have load the JSON responses in my website, which is a developer one. We have been updating the code, but there also I attempted and somehow I just got the JSON responses back. Now I'm trying to attempt to put the JSON file inside the asset folder. I can easily retrieve the values. The problem here is I do not want to skip the async task because when you access something from local file system, we do not need a asynchronous call because that is primarily been written if you want to make internal internet call or anything which will give you a delayed response. The async task has been given for us. Whereas when I put the content in asset folder itself, I may not require this, but I don't want to skip this particular part because this is very important API, and of course you may be widely using it. So until I find some sort of other fixes, you have to do or try to have the code. Couple of machines have been given access, so there you can go and write your code, test it for time being. So this is for HTTP GET. I'll also leave a small code snippet for HTTP POST as well. I assume you this is my web service. If you want another one, so we may modify this code and we can convert them as a HTTP post. Okay, so this part I'm going to change, or maybe I'll write it again instead of this only for testing because I'll give you some other emulated data. So for username, password, login, logout, so when you have to pass the right username, password, then the system will authenticate you. So for that purpose we can make this kind of a HTTP post. So first I'll write the code. So HTTP client same, instead of HTTP get I'm going to use HTTP post. Same, you can pass the URL directly. HTTP post is ready. Now time to send the attribute and its values. For example, previously the URL itself contained latitude, longitude, or API key, everything. So if at all, if they demand us to send through HTTP post, you need to form a array list of name value pair object name value pair. Let me see, I'll show you the document itself. The class come from the generic grammar. Okay, let me see, this is not very important. Okay, I'll give you. So name valuer is nothing which will carry your HTTP post payloads, the data. For example, let me add it. First set of data. Inside you need to have a one more object. Name value pair. Say in this case lat. Maybe your latitude, longitude. Say some value. It's like a form, so you can send as many as data. Remember, like a URL, you may have a restriction of sending many data, like you cannot send more number of data, the URL length will increase. So whatever API key, assume if it is correct one. So I built a form this way. Why it's showing error? Now form is completed. Setting the entity, whatever, new URL form, encoded form entity, pass your name value pairs. Now the HTTP post, okay, need a try catch block, but first I explain. So HTTP post object right now contains some entities which is nothing but the value, the key and the values. And when HTTP post is ready, make the HTTP response, execute the HTTP post, just put everything into a this guy also. Now the response has, so if assume the response is received. So the same thing, only difference is having a name value pair object and form, or create a form entity. Form mean, like you know the HTML form how it is. So a text field with the name attribute and the value it's been associated. So this is the name attribute, is the value attribute. So it's been I mean this is name and this is value or key value, whatever way you can conclude. So now the response received, so we can go ahead and create buffered reader. New input stream reader. In this case the response get entity get content. So this is unmodified, same like HTTP get. Usually character type you don't need to set it, but if any error comes you can set it. And 2 MB of data. while loop. To Okay, for loop will accept inline declaration, but this is not accepting. So what I'll do, so until it reaches to null, I'll append. So now our builder is ready. Once all response received and buffered and it has been written on the string builder, now time to attach it to. So this is a small code snippet for HTTP post. The difference comes here only. The previous thing, it was HTTP GET, so the URL itself contained all the information. Whereas if you are using HTTP post, you need to create name value pair array type, and each name value pair occurrence should have a basic name value pair. So you can wrap a form name and the form value. So once you build it, that name value pair is set to HTTP post as an entity. Make sure it is encoded as a form. That's the reason URL encoded form entity. Form means like you may assume HTML form. So like that, the HTML form has got created. Now it is attached to or made a request to HTTP client to execute. The HTTP post data has been sent with the following URL what you have supplied here, and we will start getting the response. So responses are buffered and streams have been read, and that is being added to a builder as it arrives until it reaches to null. Then final value is now reference to string called result. So when this async task is executed in background, when result is available, it will execute this block on post execute with the result coming in, and that I am passing to an abstract method. So wherever this particular my web service post is called as a parent method or parent class, this particular method would get implemented, and that will give you a result. So of course Google does not demand you to send it as a post variable. Of course it won't work if it is a post, but if you want to change between them, what you can do is you can change that. You can simply change and it will become a post, HTTP post URL. Of course it is not perfect yet. I may need a setter method also, but I do not have setter method. But if you want to use migrate between HTTP get and post, you can simply rename it. But I want this to be as HTTP get only. In future we'll see how to check the HTTP post and retrieve its value. Of course it will work since only the information is changed, but the way you call the URL remains same, calling everything inside the async task. So this is an example of calling HTTP get and post. In both the cases, a kind of a string response is coming. Depending on the condition, it may be a JSON or XML. Since you know what kind of data type it will come, accordingly use the specific parser to retrieve the data and display wherever it necessary. So in this case we have displayed in notification itself. Maybe I may have to display that in activity also. In that case, the service and activity should make a communication. Various ways to make a service and an activity to have a serialized communication. uh, Using broadcast receiver we can make that happen, or there is one more way also there, which is called service connection. We will see that is actually not recommended, but that is purely on the Java terminologies, like how to make a interprocess communication in terms of Java. So how to use the handler to call a threaded application. So that a small example also I'll give. But Android recommends you to use a broadcast receiver in order to send the data between a service and activity. That example I hope we saw in the very beginning itself. We put a timer counter. So I'll also tell you what is the alternate way also possible. That I will do or explain in the next, maybe tomorrow's exercise. As of now, this example I'll upload it. It will work, but in this classroom, 4 computers have been given a full access. So once you are done with that, you may go to that computer and see how it works. That's the only way. Otherwise, finish everything. Make sure you create Google API codes and package the code, push it in our phone and test it. That's one way, depending if your phone having a 2G or 3G connection. So that will be an outside network, so no restriction will be there. So whatever way you can test it. Meanwhile, I'll also try to have another workaround so you can emulate the result. Okay, I'll post the codes.